6 inches. That's all it took to transform Interstate 24 between Belvoir Avenue and Spring Creek Road into a post-apocalyptic scene where cars floated like abandoned boats and emergency crews waded through waist-deep water to pull drivers from their windows. 4 people died on August 12th when Chattanooga recorded its second wettest day in recorded history, leaving nearly 192,000 residents trapped in a natural disaster.
Concerning weather event underway, water rescues underway right now out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. We are tracking several reports of stranded drivers and people even reportedly trapped inside of their homes. Hamilton County there in Tennessee has now declared a state of emergency. That area receiving about 6 inches of rain today.
That transformed America's infrastructure into an aquatic obstacle course. This was a once-in-a-century event with a 0.2% probability of occurrence that turned Tennessee's major transportation corridor into an aquatic nightmare zone, where firefighters spent hours checking submerged vehicles for trapped survivors. Welcome to Earth's dark secrets. I'm about to reveal how more than 6 inches of rain, nearly twice Chattanooga's typical August rainfall, fell in a single day, and why a routine family drive became a death sentence when the earth itself became too waterlogged to hold the trees meant to shelter them. Monday night, August 12th, 2025. The Chattanooga Fire Department conducted 35 rescues, pulling stranded drivers from vehicles and assisting residents trapped inside homes as water levels rose rapidly. More than 100 firefighters responded, 50+ emergencies, and calls for assistance. Several cars were stranded between Belvoir Avenue and Spring Creek Road on both directions of the interstate. But the real horror was what happened next. Interstate 24, between Belvoir Avenue and Spring Creek Road, was shut down indefinitely because of flooding in both directions. America's interstate highway system had become temporarily uninhabitable. I-24, between Highway 27 in downtown to the 24/75 split, was shut down for several hours, creating a transportation crisis that rippled across the entire Tennessee Valley. A mother, father, and 1 child died when a large tree collapsed onto their vehicle in East Ridge. But the killer wasn't wind or storm damage. The murderer was water-saturated soil that betrayed decades of stability. The family was driving through what appeared to be a safe route when the Earth's capacity to anchor vertical weight simply failed. Trees that had withstood decades of Tennessee weather suddenly found themselves supported by ground with the consistency of wet concrete. This wasn't a freak accident. This was systematic soil failure across the region, where root systems lost their grip on Earth that could no longer provide structural support. The family died because the basic physics of tree anchoring had been compromised by water infiltration that exceeded every natural precedent. While 3 family members died in the tree collapse, there was a 4th victim as well. Authorities found a body on Wednesday while searching for a man who was swept away when he ran past firefighters and a barricade blocking a flooded road on Tuesday. Portions of North Terrace were submerged as well, causing backups along roads in that area. This created what transportation engineers call network cascade failure, where the flooding of one route forces traffic onto alternative routes that become overwhelmed and fail in turn. Major roadways, including I-24, Brainerd Road, Ringgold Road, Bonnie Oaks Drive, and SR 153, were impacted, with Spring Creek rising above its banks and flooding multiple corridors. Chattanooga's transportation grid didn't just flood, it systematically collapsed as water redrew the city's functional geography. Emergency services discovered they were operating in a city where normal routes to hospitals, fire stations, and evacuation centers had become inaccessible. First responders had to navigate using surface streets that had never been designed to handle emergency traffic loads during disaster conditions. The flooding revealed critical vulnerability. Modern cities depend on transportation networks that can fail catastrophically when water redefines which areas remain passable for emergency vehicles. Firefighters spent hours checking sunken cars for any trapped people, received 427 calls for service, including 114 reports of flooding, 80 hazard checks, 11 water emergency calls, 33 car accidents, 10 reports of downed wires. This storm event, which had a 0.2% probability of occurrence, made it a once-in-a-century event and far exceeded the design standard for urban infrastructure throughout the Tennessee Valley. Chattanooga's drainage systems, road construction, and emergency protocols were designed for flood events that occur maybe once every 25 to 50 years. This disaster delivered water volumes that were supposed to happen once every 500 years. The city encountered a meteorological event that exceeded every assumption about what Tennessee might face. Storm drains became fountains flowing backward, Parking lots became retention ponds. Underpasses became deadly aquatic tunnels, where the difference between transportation and drowning was measured in inches of additional rainfall. Chattanooga, Tennessee, recorded its second wettest day on record, receiving more than 6 inches of rain and nearly twice the city's typical August rainfall in a single day. But the real terror wasn't the total amount, it was the concentration and timing. The storm delivered what meteorologists call training cells, multiple thunderstorm systems that moved repeatedly over identical geographic areas like freight cars on a track. Instead of spreading across the region, the moisture concentrated over Chattanooga's urban core with surgical precision. This created rainfall rates that resembled tropical storm conditions despite occurring hundreds of miles from any ocean. The atmosphere essentially transformed Tennessee into a temporary coastal environment without advanced warning systems or infrastructure designed for tropical intensity precipitation events. The mayor of Hamilton County declared a state of emergency as rescue operations revealed the true scope of urban vulnerability. This declaration wasn't just administrative procedure, it was acknowledgement that local emergency resources had been overwhelmed by disaster conditions that exceeded all preparedness planning. The emergency declaration activated mutual aid agreements that brought additional rescue equipment and personnel from surrounding counties. But even these expanded resources struggled with the geographic scope of simultaneous emergencies across multiple transportation corridors. Recovery operations continue revealing infrastructure damage that wasn't visible during the active flooding phase. Electrical systems, communication networks, and transportation infrastructure sustained damage that became apparent only after water receded and systematic inspection could begin. 3 weeks later, Chattanooga continues discovering systems damage that wasn't visible during the disaster itself. Underground electrical conduits, communication cables, and water infrastructure sustained moisture infiltration that created delayed failure sequences, systems that appeared functional immediately after the flood but collapsed days later. Property foundations experienced soil saturation that compromised structural integrity in ways that became apparent only during detailed engineering inspections. Buildings that seemed undamaged during the flood revealed foundation settling and structural stress that occurred when waterlogged soil lost its load-bearing capacity. The disaster created what engineers call deferred failure patterns. Infrastructure damage that doesn't manifest until accumulated stress finally exceeds design limits weeks after the initial disaster event. This Tennessee disaster exposes something municipal planners prefer not to acknowledge. American cities remain fundamentally vulnerable to precipitation events that exceed their design parameters, regardless of how sophisticated their drainage infrastructure appears. Most municipal drainage is engineered for 10-year or 25-year flood events. Chattanooga encountered a 500-year event with infrastructure built for problems 20 times smaller than what actually occurred. 4 deaths from 6 inches of rain in a single day. The second wettest day on record that turned Interstate 24 into a temporary lake system, complete with stranded vehicles and emergency boat operations in areas designed exclusively for dry land transportation. The family that died beneath a falling tree was killed not by storm winds, but by Tennessee soil that became too saturated to anchor trees that had stood safely for decades. As precipitation patterns continue evolving beyond historical precedent, cities across America face an uncomfortable question. How many inches of rain does it take to turn your hometown into an aquatic disaster zone, where emergency crews spend hours checking submerged cars for survivors? The answer, as Chattanooga discovered on August 12th, might be as simple as 6 inches falling faster than the ground can absorb it. Thanks for watching Earth's Dark Secrets, where we expose the hidden realities behind our planet's most devastating disasters. If this investigation revealed something the mainstream media won't tell you, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us uncover the stories that authorities don't want told. Hit the bell so you never miss our in-depth analysis of the disasters that reveal our planet's dark truths.